Hello everyone and welcome to a new SEGA News Bits. I'm your host George and with me is Barry.
Forever.
Forever Barry, right? So you guys know we've been talking about SEGA Forever. A lot of people have been hyping it up. They've had a lot of opinions on what it could be. And I think SEGA did a good job in the marketing department, maybe too good of a job, which we'll talk about after I give you guys the details of what this SEGA Forever actually is. So it's going to be an ever-expanding catalog of SEGA games for mobile platforms, or retro SEGA games for mobile platforms, and they're promising to cover the SG-1000, the Master System, the SEGA Genesis Mega Drive, Game Gear, Sega Saturn, and Dreamcast. And well, they're gonna launch with only Sega Genesis and Mega Drive games, at least worldwide, tomorrow on June 22nd. And they promise to launch with Sonic the Hedgehog, Altered Beast, Phantasy Star 2, Comic Zone, and Kid Chameleon. Each title is going to be ad-free, so you don't have to pay a penny to play it, but it'll have ads. And if you want to play it without ads, you pay $1.99, and that's all $1.99 does. And they added support to each title, and they promise to add leaderboards, cloud saves, offline play, so you don't need to be connected to the network anymore, controller support, community news feed, and a ton of languages for the menus. I did play a little bit of Comic Zone before we got on here, and I'm a little disappointed because it's just the old ROMs they used to have. Like Altered Beast, Phantasy Star 2, and Comic Zone, and Kid Chameleon. They're just the old games they used to have, and I don't know if the emulator is this bad on iPhone, but on Android, the sound is terrible. They never fixed it. They just put the UI above it. The UI is nice, by the way. I give them props on that. It looks nice. They need to fix this, and a lot of people seem to be very angry about it. What's your opinions on it?
Well, just to rewind, so, you know, we were covering this when it was rumored. There were some people who were saying, oh, it's a subscription service like Netflix. That's not the case. And I think if you go back to our speculation news bits, we even say that none of that's coming from SEGA. That's all speculation on the part of a certain YouTuber and a few other people. So first off, there's no reason for people to be mad that this isn't a Netflix service, because it was never teased as that. Secondly, I don't think there's any reason to be mad that it's mobile only at the moment. People need to remember that SEGA functions with a lot of different, there's different wings or different groups or whatever, silos. And so they have the mobile division, they have the arcade division, they have the SEGA of America, they have Atlas. It's all different people, and sometimes people like Daytona USA 3 or whatever happened without the console people knowing, really. So in this case, of course, if it's SEGA Networks doing SEGA Forever, it's going to be for mobile. So I don't think there's any reason to complain there. The fact that any wing of SEGA is attempting to do this, I applaud them for that. And I also think...
What's your opinion on them launching with titles that are old already? Like Sonic the Hedgehog is the Christian Whitehead version of the game.
Well, I'll get to that.
Okay, sorry.
but I guess what I'm saying is I applaud SEGA Networks for at least being the one to do this. Ideally, it would have been the console side of things, so we would get this on like PC, PS4, Xbox. But if this does well, I feel like they'll expand it. And that's where I really want it to go. Now, as for the launch of this itself, I feel like the marketing was spot on. Whoever's doing the marketing is doing a fantastic job. We got those cool teaser cassette tapes with the little note. This trailer is awesome. It looks like they really put a lot of work into it. But I feel like they had all the marketing ready, but I feel like the launch is kind of weak, just because I was speculating that it was going to launch with Genesis and arcade games. At the moment, it's only launching with Genesis games, really, and of those, 4 are, just simply ROMs, and then 1 is the awesome Christian Whitehead Sonic the Hedgehog. However, that was just that app already existed, and it was basically updated to include the free-to-play option, and it added the new SEGA Forever intro with the logo becoming 16-bit. So I feel like what they should have done, if I was them, I would have launched this with 2 SG-1000 games, 2 Master System games, 2 Genesis games, 2 Game Gear games, bring Knights to the iOS platform, bring Guardian Heroes to the iOS and Android platforms, fix Jet Set Radio so that it would play again because it has been unplayable, and roll Choo Choo Rocket into the service. That way you would have launched with 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 titles from all the platforms.
I mean, I will say that they did say every couple weeks they're going to be relaunching or launching games, and I think a lot of the first ones are going to be relaunches.
For sure, and I know that they're going to be adding to it, but I feel like they really should have started out with something for everybody, and I also feel that what they've released so far is basically a do-over of... Because back in 2009, they actually released at least Phantasy Star 2, I think Streets of Rage, Golden Axe. They didn't run that well, very cheap releases. I think they were like $4.99, which was a little overpriced.
And there's also another issue with this, is that they haven't announced online play, and like Altered Beast has online, or multiplayer, so if we get Streets of Rage and stuff, you think they're going to launch online play, and that'd be like another boost for the SEGA Forever brand?
I really hope they do. That would be great.
I was going to talk about how Mike Evans had a interview with the game industry, and he made some points. I made a bulletin of stuff he talked about that might be interesting to people listening. He said that they're going to use SEGA Forever to have target ads to know more about their fans and what their fans want. So let's say they release Comic Zone, and all of a sudden Comic Zone has like 5 million downloads for no reason. There's popularity there for the brand, so they'll look into that. They also said that their ad network will allow an ecosystem for third parties too, and they're even willing to bring third parties into the SEGA Forever brand.
Interesting.
They said that all the data gathered is not only gonna go to making new mobile games, but also maybe console relaunches or new franchises.
Right, and that's what I'm excited for, because they're almost using it as a test bed for these franchises.
Exactly.
So that's really cool. And if it does well, you continue on.
Yeah,
there might be a few more bullets.
He said that Unity lets them bring SEGA Forever to consoles easier, so that's something they're thinking about or talking about. They say they want to launch the Dreamcast games in a year, so it's still a ways out, and that they're still, I guess, open to a subscription service on top of this. So I guess if they release a lot of stuff in a year, maybe charge some money a month if people really want to pay that. I think the ad-supported stuff is good enough, I think.
Well, I've had a chance to play, because way back when I did the Nomad Junkyard, which was a handheld and mobile-focused Sega blog. Yeah, really pigeonholing myself there.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of funny. This is something that I would have loved to cover doing that blog, but really I used that blog to actually get into sites like Bits and Dreamcast Junkyard. So I played a lot of those early releases. They didn't play well back in 2009, 2010. The sound was off. They had a lot of slowdown. There weren't really any options. These new releases, this kind of rebooted release, they do play better, I think. I think there are more options, even though there aren't that many. And at least on my iPhone, what do I have, a 7? Yeah, they play well. I haven't really experienced any slowdown or major sound issues. I think the only sound issue I had was I was playing Altered Beast, and there was like, when he was getting hit by a bunch of guys, some of the kind of clipped. Comic Zone played really well, I thought, and I thought Kid Chameleon played really well.
I'm kind of jealous because like on Android they play like, or Comic Zone is the only one up right now for me, and I played it, and control support doesn't work. There's a lot of clipping on the sound, and there's slowdown. So I'm hoping that there's some sort of mistake and they're going to update it, or maybe I downloaded it early before the launch, because I think that's the only one that's up. Like, all the other ones are not up, so I'm assuming it's not officially launched, so we'll see.
Right. And I mean, in the SEGA Bits Discord, which you are, if you're watching this, you're free to join and chat with us. George and I are there, so it's like talking to celebrities. Not really. In fact, you learn a lot about us that you probably don't want to know. You hate us more. It's been mixed. The reaction's been mixed. I know some people are like, well, this is better than what they did before. It's focused. At least they're going to be bringing a lot of things over, which is nice. Other people are saying that it feels rushed, that there's been some mistakes. My personal take on it is, and I've long felt this, even doing stuff with fan sites, I'll have an idea, I'll want to execute it, and I'll be working with so many people, and it never fucking happens, and it really pisses me off. And so I feel like this is something where I feel like they needed to do it or not do it at all. And they could have been sitting, maybe they've been working on this for a long time, I don't know, but I feel like I'd rather them launch it and it be a weak launch than them continue to debate behind the scenes and it might never happen. You know, like if in 2 years we end up getting great ports of Saturn and Dreamcast games, they fix up the emulation on the Genesis ports, and it comes to consoles and PC, that would be awesome, and at least it's out there now and happening. I guess it's our job now as fans to, I guess, be polite, but complain. You know what I mean? Like, don't go, I don't fucking like this game, it's not Shenmue, it doesn't work. But say like, hey, the audio doesn't sound right, I'm getting a lot of slowdown. That helps them. Be constructive, because if we get them on for an interview, or if we have a little meeting with them in the future, I gladly tell them everything that does and doesn't work for me.
And see, to me, my problem is that I think they launched with a lot of hype. They launched with a lot of the nostalgia. They were pulling those strings. They were telling people this is like a whole new revolutionary way of playing games, especially when they sent us those tapes. And I think the marketing sold it way too high for what it was. It's really a rebranding or a relaunch of their retro games on mobile platforms. And I compared it on Discord to the way DC stopped doing all New 52 comics, and they went and did Rebirth, and then they made all these rules up, like every book is going to be bi-monthly, every book's going to be $2.99. That's the price point, and they're doing the same thing here, $1.99 regardless of platform. And those are nice rules. I just hope they fix the actual content they're releasing.
So you're more the under promise over deliver type.
Yes, I am.
And I could totally see how that would be a good option for them to take. I think it's ballsy to make all the promises they've promised. I guess what I'll say is I really love what they're promising. I hope they stick to it. That's the one thing. Don't stop. And don't be disappointed in how the fans are reacting to this, or how some of the fans are, because I think there are some great things, like that they're rolling in past games, and that we will probably see titles like Jet Set Radio fixed and playable again on mobile. Just don't stop, because then it's just going to be another addition to the list of promises.
Yeah, so let us know what you guys think about this whole SEGA Forever thing. Are you excited? Do you want to play retro games on your mobile devices? Do you want this to expand to consoles? And do you think it's fair to use this to gauge interest in console titles for reboots of old franchises? Let us know what you think in the comments below.